What is up, RC enthusiasts? It's David back here again, and today I've got for you guys a 2-speed installation for my buddy's C14 right here. Now this started life as a C14 kit. It's running off of a FlySky RX and TX system and a 30 amp cheapo ESC, and right now it has the 180 motor and the stock gearbox. Today we're going to install this official 2-speed from WPL. The label got torn up from oil, it looks like. And our official WPL metal upgrades kit right here. So it's going to have metal drive shafts, metal ring and pinions inside the transmission, and ball bearings all throughout with this kit. Comes with Loctite and the tools you need to install it. So yeah, everything's all official WPL installation going on this rig. So let's get to it. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the body off of it. That's 1 screw in the back, 2 screws in the middle right here, and then you got 2 screws up here and 2 screws on the bumper. And I'm just telling you about the screws that are normally on there. He doesn't have most of these screws installed on this. He probably only has 1 screw holding this whole thing together. So yeah, just showing you that you will have to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws if you had the kit version, the RTR version, or even if you assembled the kit properly. So let's go ahead and get that done. And there you go. Now I'm going to pull off this cover to get to the electronics. And that's that. Now I got to take the 180 motor out. So there you go. You got the 4 screws over here. 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to remove to get it out. Not sure if you can tell here, he also has the higher modded location for his transmission. So if you watched my previous video to this, you can see I go into detail and show you some close-up views on how I did this on my C24, my blue one. Not sure if you can see it, it's back here. I'm going to go ahead and remove 4 screws. And there you go, as you see here. Pull that out really easily. That is broken, by the way, just so you guys know from if you watch my show and tell video where I show you guys my friend's modifications on this rig and stuff. It was broken in that video. And now I'm going to get to the axles. I'm going to remove the axles from the linkages just to make it easier to work on. So I'm going to take the axles completely off of here and I'll be right back with you guys. Well, there you go. We have the axles easily accessible here for us to work on. I'm going to take these 4 bolts off here to disassemble the axle halves. There you go. As you can see, it was running a metal pinion and plastic ring gear that is destroyed. I'm not sure if I could show that on there, but it's pretty mangled up in there. But it doesn't matter because none of this is going back. All that's going to go back is this half, well, minus the drive shaft, and the plastic housing right here. This right here, see the plastic bushings and everything's all plastic. That's all being replaced to full metal. Pretty decent still. So this plastic parts can be used again. I'm going to be reusing the steering linkages. That's about it from here, and everything else coming off the truck. I'm going to go ahead and grab these parts right here, give them a little bit of a cleaning, and I'll be right back with you guys. And now that we got our axles mostly clean, or our housings mostly clean, it's time for us to get into this package right here. We had all our parts right here. There's going to be your drive shaft parts. We're going to deal with that later. Going to be your Loctite and your grease, which I'm not going to be using this grease. I'm actually going to be using a stronger longer lasting marine grease right here. So this is what I'm going to be using for the job. But I'm going to need nuts and bolts and Allen wrench. Bag of parts. New aluminum steering hubs. Nice. Nice looking black ones too. I don't know why they ship them in random colors sometimes. The one I got, I believe, was in silver, but oh well. They're all the same, just different colors. Here's going to be your new axle shafts. Your shorter one is going to be for the front. And here's going to be your set of ball bearings that are going to go in there. Let's go ahead and get that out of the package. Now sometimes you're going to have the smaller ball bearings right there stuck inside the bigger ball bearings. Yeah, they do not belong in there, so go ahead and use one of these shafts right here and, you know, just pop those out of place like that, so that way they're not stuck in there. So we're going to go ahead and assemble the front first. So we're going to grab this shaft right here. You got to make sure you orientate it the right way so you can see you have even length on both sides, and where the grub screw goes is going to be in the right section. You're going to grab one of your gears here. You slide it on here like so. You can set a grub screw in there. You got your bag of grub screws right here. And that's going to sit in here like so. You're going to need 2 bearings on each side. And you're going to grab these 2 right here. Oh, little dog bone looking things, dog bone ends. And that's what's going to go on the ends right here. And grub screw with Loctite as well. So I'm going to go ahead and install grub screws on these. Put some Loctite on them, and I'm going to grease up this shaft, and it's going to be ready to go inside the housing. This is what the front axle internals will look like when it's all installed. You got the dog bone right here, bearing, bearing, ring gear, bearing, bearing, and nut bone. So that's how they all arrange in there, so you can see how it looks like. Don't forget to grease everything. I like to grease the whole shaft, the bearings, everything in here. Tightly pack it with grease. Waterproof grease. Now I'm going to go do the rear axle. So there you go for the rear axle. You got out drive, 5mm hex drive, bearing, bearing, ring gear, bearing, bearing, hex drive. Make sure everything spins freely. Now when you put the 2 halves together, and then you install the pinion gear, that's when you're going to realize when you're binding or not. I'm going to go ahead and grease all this stuff up so I can close all these halves together, and then we'll get to the pinion gear. Alright, now we're going to get to the pinion gears. You're going to have to install the bearings into the holder right here. It's going to be one on this side and one on the other side. Throw some grease on those bearings. Alright, now that you got those 2 bearings in there, we're just going to slide the pinion gear in there. Oh, that should be it for that. Now we're going to go ahead and install this onto here. Go ahead and check the mesh on that. Seems pretty good. Yep, that's some good mesh right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw some rain grease in there. Trying to make it as waterproof as possible so nothing rusts in here, because me and my buddy do like to play in water a lot. So there you go, look how packed that is. I'm going to close that up with the other half. Now, what I always tell people when you're putting these 2 halves together is you just want to make sure the halves are completely together. You don't want to tighten them or over tighten them because it is going to mess with your gear mesh a little bit. So, you know, just make sure you don't have any gaps in between. They don't have to be overly tightened. It's not going to come apart. So just check, have them as tight as, you know, just snug on there. Then go ahead and give them a spin. Everything's still moving freely, then that's great. Got one axle down. Now to complete the front axle, just need to do is grab one of these, put it in there so you can spin it. Pretty good. I put a lot of these metal kits together already, and you know, I've been lucky enough to have pretty good mesh on the gears and stuff, and there you go, that's assembled. Now we gotta put steering on it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna need to install these bearings right here. And what I like to do with these bearings, since they sit on the outside, is get some marine grease, use my fingers, and kind of just rub it all in there so it gets inside all the nooks and crannies and hopefully waterproofs the whole bearing, because these aren't sealed bearings. So if you go ahead and do this, you'll lengthen the lifespan of your bearings a little bit. One of them goes inside here. Oops, completely missed. And the other one is going to go on the outside. Go ahead and grease that one up too. Now I'm not saying to pack a lot of grease on here so you have a lot of grease remaining. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to get the grease to get inside the grooves and make it inside the bearing to protect it. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and do that to both sides. Now once you got these all greased up, you just slide these out drives into there. I'm going to grab some, take the grease off of the out drives in the end. This is where the wheel is going to be sitting on, those hexes, 5mm hexes. Alright, now you're going to have these, which just go in here like so. You're going to grab those, you're going to insert them like that. And then you're going to slide this into here. Lining all this up. And you're going to get these screws right here, this size screw. You're going to need 4 of them. So set 4 aside. Alright, got those 2 on there now, so now you got that. Alright, so now that we got the axles built, on our agenda is going to be building the drive shafts. You're going to need 1 cap right here, retaining ring, this little pin, and this little barrel that the pin goes through. You're going to need one of those for both sides of the drive shaft. So set aside both sides, like so. And you're going to need the female side and the male side of the drive shaft. You can connect these together just by sliding them in like that. How we're going to build this section is you're going to get the barrel, you're going to slide it in here, drive shaft. So now that you got that in there, make sure the hole's facing out like that, you can see through there. You want to line that hole up with there, and then now you're going to grab one of these pins. You're going to slide the pin through there, making sure it goes through that barrel hole. So there you go. You'll know when it goes through because it'll slide all the way in and be flush, and you'll see it on both sides. And now you're just going to grab this retaining ring right here, slide it through there, find the opening side of it, and just grab that over and just work your way in a circle around until that whole retaining ring goes on. And there you go. See, once that retaining ring's on there, it'll hold that pin in place, and you got 1/2 assembled. Do that to the other side, and do it to the other drive shaft. And there you go. 2 drive shafts assembled. Alright, next we're going to get our steering linkage onto this right here. And I'm just going to take off the steering linkages off the old setup. Alright, so I'm going to do my mod here where I'm going to put everything on the top. So I'll go ahead and assemble it, and I'll show you how it looks like when I assemble the steering together. Alright, now that we got these two assembled, let's go ahead and get to the 2-speed transmission here. This is just going to go right here, exactly where the old transmission went. As you can see here, it looks like my friend's going to be able to keep his little skid plate. I'm going to go ahead and install this. Well, there you go. I have the 2-speed installed where it belongs on his truck. We'll go ahead and reinstall the axles, and I'll be right back with you guys. There's everything back together. All that's left to do for this one is to put my drive shafts back on, and then I'll get the electronics back connected onto this thing, and we'll go ahead to setting up this rig with his FlySky FS GT5. And now everything's installed, drive shafts, axles, everything. Now we can put the tires back on. And one thing you gotta remember when you're switching from the plastic out drives or 5mm hexes right here to these metal ones, you cannot use the screws that you screw these into the plastic, because those are really coarse thread screws. And these are threaded in here, so you're gonna need the finer screws, and it does come in that metal upgrade kit. So don't forget, when you install your tires, don't forget to put these finer screws in here and put a little bit of Loctite, because it's going into plastic, going into metal. So alright, so now we're going to plug things together. Get the motor plugged in here. Get the ESC on channel 2, steering on channel 1, shift servo on channel 3. Alright, I'm going to have the shift servo out just so it doesn't actuate and strip itself by accident. I'm going to grab a battery, let's plug her in, and let's set this thing up. Alright, so we got steering going the right direction. Alright, we got throttle going the right direction as well. Now we're going to play with channel 3. So let's hit the channel 3 switch right here. There you go. So now we just got to set the limits on this up. Depending on what radio you have, you're going to go to your endpoint adjustment. And then you're going to go to channel 3. So now we're going to set that up. Alright, so at 100% throw, you want that to be 90 degrees. So you want to set this up to be at a 90. There you go. And that's at 100%, so I can still raise this up to make it even more of a 90. Do like 115%. And there you go. And on the other position, we just want it to end right there. That's a pretty good ending point, 90 degrees downwards. So up 90 degrees, down 90 degrees. So I'd say that's set pretty well right there, and that should shift your servo pretty well. Now you're just gonna install this, screw this into there, and you're good. Now that you set up all your electronics and everything's all centered, so we set everything to center. You can go ahead and physically center the servo to center it, or you could go ahead and trim it to make it center, and same with the rear. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this thing. There you go, guys. Hopefully that helped you guys out on how to install the 2-speed transmission and the drive shaft and all the metal upgrade parts on this thing. Now everything you saw me install onto this truck is pretty much everything that I recommend to install onto these trucks. You know, everything else like the metal links, the metal steering links, you know, all that metal housings for the drive shafts and everything. Those are just all bling and more upgrade stuff that, in my mind, you really don't need. All you need is weight down the tires, metal upgrade parts with the drive shafts, with the metal drive shafts down there, and a 2-speed transmission, and that turns this thing into a really fun rig. Well, there you go, guys. That's how to put the 2-speed and the metal upgrades into this bad boy right here. Makes this thing way more reliable and way more fun to play with because, you know, more play time, less breakage time. So have fun. Go ahead and do that to your rig. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe below. Now go out there and run that RC.